Hello everyone. Today we are going to read chapter number 5, The Early Mughals and Contemporary Rulers of South India. In this chapter we will read about the Mughals, how they entered in India, how they captured India, and about their life and some most famous or initial Mughal rulers, those who rule over India, and some contemporary rulers of South India as well. So, first, India on the eve of Mughal conquest means India was in the eyes of Mughal rulers, means Mughal rulers have turned their side towards India. They want to capture India. It was between 1414 CE and 1526 CE when Sayyid and Lodi dynasties ruled was over. And at that time, many regions of Delhi Sultanate had become independent. Some Rajput rulers, they again gained their independence. There were some rulers from Bengal, Jaunpur, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and entire South India. They again gained their independence. The Vijayanagar Empire and the Brahmani kingdom, they also had risen to importance in the south. Taking advantage of this political situation, Babur invaded India and he defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the first battle of Panipat in 1526 CE. Babur made India his home and built a large empire that came to be known as the Mughal Empire. It means it was Babur who established Mughal Empire in India. Next is, who were Mughals? Who were they? Mughals were direct descents on the paternal side to Timur, who was the ruler of Iran, Iraq, and modern day Turkey. And Timur invaded India in 1398 CE. On the maternal side, they were means Mughals were descendants of great Mongol ruler Genghis Khan. They, however, didn't like to be called Mughals as the term was derived from the word Mongol. Genghis Khan was associated with innumerable massacres, loot, and large scale destruction because he has done these things so many times. Moreover, the Timurids had to fight the Mongols fearlessly before they could be conquered. On the contrary side, we can say they were proud of their Timurid ancestry. Timur ruled over a vast empire and captured Delhi as well. So Babur and his successors thought it was their bright right to rule over Delhi because the land captured by their forefathers. So they thought this is a land which was captured by their forefathers. So they have the right to rule over. So they captured it again and they started ruling over here. Next is the early Mughals and Sher Shah Suri. Firstly, we will read about Babur. As we all know, Babur was the founder of the Mughal dynasty and his successors were called Mughals. Babur's father was a noble of the Turkish Empire who was given the land of Ferghana and Samarkand to rule. Babur was born in 1483 CE. His original name was Zaharuddin Muhammad, but he took the name of Babur because its meaning is tiger. He ascended the throne of Fergana. Fergana is in Uzbekistan. Now it is in Uzbekistan. In 1495 CE, when he was only 12 years old. He wanted to establish an empire in central India, so he conquered Kabul in 1511 CE. However, when he could not expand his empire over Central Asia, he shifted his intention towards India. He led many expeditions, means he started again and again coming to India for war. His journey, which took place between 1519 to 1525 CE. But that journey was unsuccessful for him. He was not able to conquer India between these time periods. Finally, he got a golden opportunity to invade India again when he was called by some Lodi rulers, Daulat Khan Lodi, Alauddin Khan, and Ibrahim Lodi, Alam Lodi. They invited Babur to India, he can invade, so he can help them because they all were against Ibrahim Lodi. After making elaborate preparations with around 12,000 soldiers, Babur marched towards Lahore and occupied it in 1525 CE. Next, he advanced towards Delhi via Sirhind and met Ibrahim Lodi's army at the First Battle of Panipat in 1526 CE. The First Battle of Panipat, it took place at Panipat. Both armies met at the historic battleground of Panipat. Despite inferior Mughal strength, your army strength, the skilled Mughal soldiers defeated Ibrahim's huge army. Ibrahim Lodi was defeated and killed in the battle. As a result, the kingdom of Agra and Delhi got into the hands of Babur. There were many reasons behind the success of Babur. One of the main reasons was the use of huge weapons which were used in the army, like tanks and topes and some large guns, which was new for the Indian rulers. Besides, Babur was a capable general and led a well-trained army. Babur chose to stay in India. He led the foundation of the Mughal Empire in India. Next was the Battle of Khanwa. With the help of heavy weapons, guns, tanks, and cannons, topes, Babur defeated Rana Sanga and other Rajputs of the Rajput Empire under him in the Battle of Khanwa in 1527 CE. Then he defeated the remaining Rajput rulers in the Battle of Chanderi in 1528 CE, and he established himself as an undisputed ruler of North India. Babur declared himself as the Padshah, meaning independent monarch. But Babur died in Agra at the age of 47 after ruling over India for 4 years. He was succeeded by his eldest son Humayun. Means after his death, Humayun took his place and he became the next Mughal emperor. Next is Mughal tradition of succession. Means how it became a tradition in the Mughal succession, with like one after another Mughal ruler came and established their rule over India. The Mughals followed the Timurid custom of corporency inheritance. According to this custom of succession, the empire was divided among all the sons of the emperor. So, while Humayun was nominated as the prince to the throne of Delhi, his half-brother Kamran was given the territories of Kabul and Kandahar. Each of his 3 brothers were made the ruler of a province, but they all were against this and they revolted against Humayun. Next is Humayun's life. Humayun was born on 6 March 1508 CE. He was the eldest son of Babur. He had 3 brothers, Kamran, Askari and Hindal. After Babur's death in 1530 CE, Humayun ascended to the throne of Delhi on 30th December 1530 CE. Humayun's accession to the throne was not very smooth because after the Babur's death, Rajputs who had not been totally crushed again gained their powers and they became independent. The Afghans who had been defeated in the Battle of Panipat, they also saw the unstable political situation in Delhi and they took this opportunity to regain their lost glory and territories, including the throne of Delhi. The maximum resistance, however, came from Humayun's own brothers, whom he trusted very much. Although Kamran had got Kabul and Kandahar, he captured Punjab and Lahore and raised a huge army. But his 2 other brothers also caused trouble to Humayun. Moreover, Humayun's armies were not very loyal and reliable as they consisted of soldiers from various communities such as Afghans, Ubeges, Mughals, Indians, Muslims, Hindus, Turks, and Persians. They were jealous of each other and suffered from internal rivalry and disunity. Means they were not having unity among themselves, and they jealous from each other. So they were against each other. They became enemies of each other. Humayun defeated the Afghan forces under Muhammad Lodi in the Battle of Dora in 1532 CE. In 1535 CE, Humayun attacked Bahadur Shah and defeated him also. Bahadur Shah was forced to flee, means he captured his empire, but Bahadur Shah ran from the ground of battle. Unfortunately, Humayun trusted his brother Askari in the management of Gujarat. He could not manage the affairs, and by 1536 CE he lost Gujarat as the nobles of Bahadur Shah revolted against the Mughal rule. Next is the Battle of Chausa and the Battle of Kannauj. After the loss of Gujarat, Humayun faced threat from Sher Shah Suri at that time, who had become the master of Bengal and Bihar. Humayun decided to conquer Bengal, but his brother Hindal, he proclaimed himself the emperor of Agra. Hence, Humayun had to rush back. Sher Shah blocked the entire contacts link between Delhi and Bengal. He also blocked all the return roads to Agra. While Humayun was retracing his steps from Bengal towards Agra, he was attacked by Sher Shah Suri's army. Finally, the Battle of Chausa was fought on 26 June 1539, and Humayun's army was defeated in that battle. Humayun ran away and managed to raise an army of 40,000 to attack Sher Shah Suri again. And in 1540 CE, in the Battle of Kannauj, but this battle too was lost, and Humayun became a deserted. Means one who had escaped battlefield, who has escaped from that place. The throne of Agra and Delhi went to Sher Shah Suri because he lost all those places in these two battles. Next is return of Humayun. After fleeing from Agra, means when he ran from Agra, Humayun tried to seek refuge in Kashmir but was stopped by his brother Kamran. He wanted to have some place for resident in Kashmir, but his brother Kamran stopped him. For a short time, he found refuge in Sindh, and the king of Amarkot gave him shelter. Prince Akbar was born there. Afterward, he sought refuge in Persia, means he took shelter in Persia and was welcomed by the Shah of Persia. With the help of Persian troops, means with the help of Persian army, Humayun recaptured Kandahar and Kabul by 1544 CE. Now Humayun waited for an opportunity to recapture the lost territories in India. Sher Shah died in 1545 CE and was succeeded by his son. After him, the throne came to Muhammad Adil Shah. He was an inefficient ruler, and the administration was governed by his prime minister Hemu. The weak successors could not hold the throne for long as they fought a number of gory battles among themselves. Taking this opportunity, Humayun attacked India in 1555 CE. A battle was fought between the Mughals and the Afghans, in which the Mughals were victorious, means they won this battle. After recovering the throne, Humayun tried to again consolidate his empire by introducing a system of administration to govern the empire. However, he could not rule for long and met a tragic death by falling from the steps of the building Din Panah in 1556 CE, and he died over there. Next is Sher Shah Suri, his life. The Suris were Afghans who came to India during the time of Behlol Lodi, and they they were doing jobs under the Delhi Sultans in the Punjab region. Sher Shah was born in Punjab in 1472 CE and his name was Farid Khan. Sher Shah was an intelligent and brilliant boy, and he soon caught the attention of Jamal Khan, who was the master of his father. He was given the charge of managing the Zagir of his father, which he did successfully for many years. He also learnt Persian and Arabic language, and he could read and write books in this language very easily. After the death of his father, Sher Shah Suri succeeded the Jagir in 1518 CE during the reign of Ibrahim Lodi. However, in 1522, he left Ibrahim's service and entered the service of governor of South Bihar, Bahar Khan Lohani. Bahar Khan trusted Sher Shah for his bravery and loyalty and made him his son Jalal Khan's tutor. He also gave the nickname Sher Khan to Sher Shah Suri because, according to a legend, he had killed a tiger with his bare hands. However, with time, the relations between him and Bahar Khan became estranged. Sher Shah joined Mughal services in 1527 CE, but he was turned out of the Mughal army. After leaving the services of Mughals, he again came back to the service of Bahar Khan. After the death of Bahar Khan, he became the deputy governor of Bihar as Jalal Khan. The son of Bahar Khan was still a minor. Sher Shah soon became the virtual ruler of Bihar. In 1536, Sher Shah defeated the king of Bengal. With his with this victory, Sher Khan became the ruler of Bengal and Bihar, and he assumed the title of Sher Shah. He then confronted Humayun in the Battle of Chausa in 1539 CE and in the Battle of Kannauj in 1540 CE, and he also won these two battles. Rise of Sher Shah in North India. After defeating Humayun, Sher Shah Suri declared himself the ruler of India. He drove out his enemies from Bengal, Bihar, and Punjab. He strengthened the northwestern frontiers by subjugating Malwa, Razin, Sindh, and Multan. In a very short time, he fortified important forts like the fort of Jodhpur, Ajmer, Chittor, and Mount Abu. In the following years, in 1545 CE, in an attempt to capture the fort of Kalingzar, he was seriously injured due to gunpowder and died thereafter. Administration of Sher Shah. Sher Shah Suri was an efficient administrator and incorporated changes aimed at the betterment of his rule. And he means he took some decision or he made some changes in the administration for the betterment of his rule. Sher Shah divided his empire into 47 units called sarkars. Each sarkar was again divided into several parganas. Each pargana had officials like an Amin, a Sikidar, a treasurer, a Hindi writer, a Persian writer for keeping accounts. In addition, there were patwaris, mukaddams, and chaudhris to look after the administration of villages. Sher Shah reorganized his army and invited Afghan soldiers from all over the India to join his army. Soldiers were given a high salary and Sher Shah took personal interest in their training. So Sher Shah Suri's army became one of the best during those times. He made some forts on the frontiers. Sher Shah personally inspected the revenue collection and transferred the revenue officials every 2 or 3 years. He directly collected the land revenue from the cultivators, either in cash or kind. He imposed taxes that were not very heavy for the cultivators. He introduced a silver coin called rupiah. This name is still used for the currencies in India and Pakistan. He even set up an efficient police and spy system. He was a tolerant sultan and adopted a policy of religious tolerance towards the Hindus. His administrative changes were later adopted by the Mughal Emperor Akbar. Sher Shah built an excellent network of roads also. He made the first road starting from Sanor Gaon in Bengal, now it is in Bangladesh, to Multan. Now Multan is in West Pakistan. This road was named as Sadak-i-Azman and later came to be known as the Grand Trunk Road. It was over 1500 kilometers away in length. The other three important roads ran from Agra to Burhanpur, from Agra to Chittor and Jodhpur, and from Lahore to Multan. He planted shady trees along roadsides and made sarais. Sarai is the place which is for resting. It is a resting place. During the region of Muslim rulers in India, he made this place so that the people, those who are on long journeys, they can rest in between. There were provisions of community kitchens and hospitals after every few kilometers, we can say. After few kilometers there were some hospitals and some community kitchens where people can have food and they can have medicines also. Next is contemporary rulers of South. First is Vijayanagar Empire. The Vijayanagar Empire was founded in 1536 CE by two brothers, Harihar and Bukka, when South India was not under the control of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Vijayanagar emerged as a powerful and wealthy empire. The most important kings of this empire were Harihara II, Devaraya I, Devaraya II, and Krishna Deva Raya. The Vijayanagar Empire grew into a powerful state during the reign of Krishna Deva Raya. He defeated the kingdoms of Odisha and Bijapur. During his time, the Portuguese came to India and tried to expand their territories. The Vijayanagar Empire was divided into provinces headed by royal princes or Nayaks. The king granted land to these Nayaks and they in return paid a sum of money to the king and provided him with soldiers. Krishna Deva Raya often toured the empire to ensure he always visit to different places in his empire so that he can ensure that the officials are working properly and the people are happy. Vijayanagar was situated in the fertile delta of the Kaveri river and the Godavari basin. Agriculture flourished there. Krishna Deva Raya also promoted agriculture by building tanks, dams, and canals for irrigation. The revenue came from the taxes from agriculture and the tribute paid by governors. The taxes imposed that was different from 1 upon 6 of the produce to 1 upon 2 of the produce. The king used this money for construction and maintenance of temples, palaces, and the army. Some of this money was used for public services as well, such as building roads, tanks, dams, rest houses, etc. Trade and commerce flourished during the rule of Krishna Deva Raya. He was a patron of art and literature also. So he wrote a poem, Amukta Malyada, in Telugu. He died in the year 1530 CE. With his death, the decline of Vijayanagar Empire started. The ruins of Hampi, which was the capital of Vijayanagar Empire, are now in UNESCO World Heritage Site. Vithal Swami and Virupaksha temples were two such fine examples of architectural excellence, and the house ornate pillars, huge gopurams, ornate gates, and huge halls with carved pillars. There are some ruins of these temples which were under the UNESCO World Heritage. Next is Bahmani Kingdom. The another kingdom which rose to prominence in Deccan was the Bahmani Kingdom. It was established during 1347 CE. Ahmad Shah II was one of the important ruler of this kingdom. Under his rule, it gained prominence in 15th century. The revenue system was reorganized to maintain a strong army. He also ensured that the farmers were not taxed heavily. He captured Goa from Vijayanagar so that the trade with the Portuguese would came to the Bahmani kingdom. The kingdom encouraged foreigners and gave them high post. These foreigners were referred to as Pardesis. One such Pardesi was Mahmud Gawan, who rose to the post of chief minister of the Bahmani kingdom. Mahmud Gawan was popular among the common people, but he also had enemies in the local Muslim group called the Deccanese. This group got him executed in 1481 CE. After his death, the nobles of the Bahmani kingdom began to fight among themselves, and the subsequent rulers of the Bahmani kingdom could not control them. They faced several attacks from Vijayanagar. As a result, the kingdom broke into five new kingdoms: Berar, Bidar, Golconda, Bijapur, and Ahmednagar. Conflicts between Bahmani and Vijayanagar kingdom. There were some conflicts between these two kingdoms. Vijayanagar and Bahmani kingdoms were neighboring kingdoms in the Deccan. Both fought wars with each other for 200 years. They both wanted to control the port region of Goa and the fertile Godavari basin. In 1565 CE, the Deccan kingdoms formed by the disintegration of the Bahmani kingdom united to defeat Vijayanagara. A fierce battle followed and the Vijayanagar kingdom was completely destroyed. But the warring factions of these Deccani kingdoms could not remain united for long, and they started fighting amongst each other. Thus, the strength of the Deccan kingdoms declined, and this paved way for the Mughals to occupy the territories in the Deccan also.